Have you ever wondered if it's possible to address performance issues in your team and avoid conflict? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 3 different things to think about if that is what you want to do. And if we haven't met yet, my name's Fiona and I am a management coach and trainer, and I work exclusively with higher education professionals, supporting line managers to have braver management conversations. And so you're in the right place, because this is one of my pet topics. And it's something that I've seen over and over and over again in my career in higher education before I started my business, and then in my clients all the time, and in observations of the sector in general across all different types of teams and all different types of institutions. One of the big things that's holding people back is dealing with poor performance in their teams, because they're worried about conflict or other big emotional reactions. And it can be so bad, actually, it can get to such an extent that if you don't deal with those performance issues, it can erode your confidence and leave you really questioning if you're even cut out to be a manager at all, or if you're a good manager. And the answer is yes, dear manager, you are a good manager. My suspicion is you probably just haven't received enough decent training to help you with these kinds of issues, and you've been brought up professionally and, as a person, you've been brought up through family of origin, through the education system, previous employment, current employment, culture at large, and you've received all of these messages about being nice and keeping the peace and not upsetting people. And so it makes complete sense that you feel this conflict in yourself about the idea of creating conflict at work, right? So you've understood that you should be a nice person, and you've got this performance issue in your team that you don't really know how to go about resolving. So here are 3 things that you can do that will really help you to think differently about doing this. So number 1 is, I really want you to shift your mindset, and there are a couple of pieces to this. So I want you to embody a leadership approach, and the distinction I'm drawing here is management is about helping people to know what to do and potentially how, depending on how experienced they are or what the task is you're asking them to do. And leadership, on the other hand, is about helping people to know how to think. And in leadership, it's about being much more robust and sturdy and grounded, and knowing that you can deal with whatever it is that comes up. And so when I say develop a leadership mindset, what that means is I want you to do step 2 and 3 that will help you to be really robust and sturdy. And I want you to use this conversation as an opportunity to help the person that you're managing to think differently about the problem that they're experiencing. And we'll get onto that in the next couple of points. So by making this mindset shift, what it's going to do is help you to go into the conversation thinking of it as a challenge that you want to put in front of both of you, for you to kind of collectively problem solve together, rather than, and this is what I see a lot, assuming that there is going to be conflict and assuming that you need to tell them what the problem is and they are going to be defensive or aggressive, and that's where all the sort of worry about conflict comes from. So let's cut that assumption. Let's assume you can have this conversation, it's going to be a collaborative conversation, and that you, as a sturdy leader, can hold whatever comes up. So if they're defensive, if they're aggressive, whatever it is that comes up, you can cope with it because you're a really sturdy leader. So that's number 1, mindset. Number 2 is I want you to prepare for the conversation, and not that kind of cyclonic thought processing, kind of lying awake at night imagining what you're going to say. Not that, some actual preparation. And so to help you with that, I've made a download that you can find in the description box, and it talks you through the steps that you can take to actually prepare. This is about being really clear about what the problem is, really clear about what information you need to glean and what message you need to land. It helps you to think through why this is important to tackle now, helps you think through what the impact of this is, all of those different steps that will really help clarify what this conversation needs to do and how you'll know if you've been successful at having the conversation. Once you've done that preparation, it helps to move you out of a stress response and into a more calm, grounded, regulated system. You can breathe more deeply, you can think more clearly. So that's part 2, prepare. And then part 3 is go into this conversation with clarity. I want you to go in there. I want you to, even before you go in there, stop and breathe. Take a minute outside the room if you need to. Have a few deep breaths. Just get in that sturdy, grounded place inside yourself. And then be very clear. So let's assume that this person has something going on that means that they need for you to be clear, right? Because for most of us, that's true, actually. With the amount of people whose English is not their first language, or where there's neurodiversity, or all sorts of different reasons, just assume everybody has some reasons why you need to be very clear. So don't use any confusing language. Don't dance around the subject. Just get really straight and to the point. What are you experiencing or witnessing? What impact is that having? And then set it up so you're saying, this is what I've noticed. You missed this deadline. The impact is I can't now report to the senior leadership team, and so they're going to have a delay on making this decision, or whatever it is. Let's figure out a plan together. And I really encourage you to invite that person into this stage of the conversation as a collaborative process. We want to co-create the agreement and the plan rather than you just telling them what they have to do. We want to co-create it. And that has 2 functions. One, it invites them into the conversation and helps it to be more two-way, which will get better engagement from them. 2, it's going to set up the agreement where they are able to say, yes, I can definitely do this, this and this. I've got these challenges or barriers or struggles, or I don't know how to do that, or I don't know what this is. So it helps you gain some clarity around where their challenges are. And then the third part is it sets up the future accountability. So by making this agreement and then at the end of the meeting summarising what you've agreed, means in future, if it doesn't work out, then you've got something to go back to and say, well, you agreed you would take these steps. You didn't take the steps and you didn't let me know that you were having a difficulty with it. What's going on here? And really it gives you something to come back to. All right, those are my main steps. So switch your mindset to be more assuming that it's going to be okay and to be in your sturdy leadership approach to this fundamentally management activity. We want to do better preparation, and you can go and find the guide in the description box down below. And then in the meeting, we want you to be really clear, invite them into this as a collaborative process. Ask some questions that help you to understand what their challenges are and create a plan together for how to do differently. And always remember to summarise at the end. That helps you make sure that you've got their agreement, and follow up with a quick email. This is what we agreed, blah, 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 blah. Then you've got in writing what it is that they agreed to. So when you have that future accountability conversation, hopefully you don't need to, but if you do, then you've got something to go back to where you can point and say, this is what you agreed to, it hasn't happened, what's going on? All right, I hope that helped. Have a look at some of my other videos if you want some other guidance on these kinds of topics. Grab the download from the description box, and I'll see you next time. Bye!